Welcome back, viewers, to the PI show. Before the break, we were talking about bullying in schools and just bullying in general, Harry. The case of this young...
The Kerrang teenager, yeah.
She got $290,000. How was that made up?
Look, most of it would have been general damages, and some of it could have been for medical and life expenses.
Pain, suffering and loss of enjoyment of
life. And some of it was maybe for past and future medical expenses. If she'd gone to a private school, there might have been school fees or relocation fees.
You'd think there would be some sort of relocation school fees in there.
And maybe some delay in educational opportunity. She might have lost a year or two of work, so there might be something for future economic loss. What's in New South Wales is called a buffer, and in Victoria it's called FARLO. FARLO damages. That's so after a famous case.
Harry.
So. Yeah, no, look, school bullying is an issue. The interesting twist to it all was the case that went to victims of crime, and the tribunal in victims of crime, the facts were...
But why would you go to victims of crime to start with, Harry? Is it because there's no thresholds? You get your medical treatment paid for, I guess?
Yeah, you'd have to ask the lawyers
and
their advice.
I guess you don't have to prove fault.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You only have to prove that there's a crime committed, is that right?
Yeah, and what happened was, the facts are quite bizarre, because it seemed to me that the bullying went on for about 5 years, from almost grade 2 and 3 till grade 6 or 7.
It was the entirety of her primary school years.
Yeah.
That's the way I read it.
So there was bullying over the years. The school knew about it.
Yes.
And didn't do anything about it.
Well, they did something, but not enough.
Not enough?
Not enough.
And then...
it actually got worse over time, Harry.
Yeah.
It got a lot more intense.
Yeah.
And
then the girl went to see lawyers, with the parents no doubt, and the lawyers put an application for a victim of crime. And the first thing the court had to decide, the tribunal had to decide, was there a crime?
That's exactly right.
Because it started with 7 and 8 year olds, the court initially, or the tribunal said that there was no crime. So she can't be a victim of a crime if there's no crime.
Why can't there be a crime by a 7 or 8 year old? Is there legislation?
Well, the legislation says that you can't have a criminal intent if you're under the age of 10.
It used to be 8 once, didn't it?
Not sure.
I think it was 8. I thought you couldn't commit a crime or
maybe a indictable offence.
Indictable offence. Okay.
Yeah, but at the moment you can't have a criminal intent if you're under the age of 10. Now,
jeez, I'll tell you what,
that's a deemed thing. People do have criminal intents, but the law says you're deemed not to have.
Jeez, I've seen some 10-year-olds that almost
under 10.
In the definition of terrorist, I reckon. But
Tony, under 10. Under 10, under 10. They might have just sort of passed the threshold.
9 years and 364 days, but I'll tell you what, I've seen some beauties in my time.
Yeah. Now, the tribunal said that part of the bullying was the rough and tumble of a schoolyard. So they said, look, there's no real criminal activity. It's sort of pushing, shoving, calling names.
She's been bashed.
She's
been threats to kill.
Threats. But some of the acts took place with the kids over 10 and 11-year-olds. But the tribunal said at the end there was no criminal intent by any of the kids.
Harry, minister with scissors, minister with a broken bottle, frequently punched her, kicked her, pinched her, spat at her.
Over 5 years, Tony.
Threatened to
Tony, over 5 years. Look, you've got to see how people are in court and what they say about all these things, and how serious, whether often the threats are denied, and often it's hard to prove, especially if a 10-year-old's giving evidence in court.
It sounds to me there was other witnesses as well. That's the impression you get.
Look, proof would be an issue in the case. But at the end of the day, the tribunal said no crime.
Well, Harry, when they appealed it to the Court of Appeal, there was a concession made by...
The concession was that the concession was that there was some criminal intent.
Well, that's it. What would they even bother?
Even though the children were, in the majority of time, were under the age of 10, Tony.
Well, once a concession's made, you don't have a dispute anymore, do you?
No, well, they said once in the Supreme Court of Victoria, there was argument by both sides, and the defendant lawyer told the court that he conceded that the children at some point in time had some criminal intent.
Well, you know, and
so
the issue before the court was, is there a crime committed so that you can qualify for benefits?
Yeah.
And so once that was considered, I think it was a pretty easy decision for the judge.
The judge then came to a decision that the tribunal had got it wrong.
So what's she entitled to, Harry? She gets medical treatment?
A bit of medical treatment.
A small payout?
A very small lump sum.
What, $2,500 I think it is?
$2,500. And I think, interestingly enough, in this case, they did pay for school fees.
Yep, because they had to relocate her.
They relocated.
She went from public school to a private school, and the parents wanted to claim the cost of additional schooling, the fees.
Yep.
But Harry, leaving aside victims of crime, wouldn't she go to a lawyer and
well, that might be the next step. That might be the next step.
Yeah, maybe.
And she's got because she's an infant, she's got till 18 years plus 3, 21.
Plus 3, that's correct.
Yeah. She's got till
and
21
plus,
years
you'd
old.
probably wait a bit just to see how she progresses, because she might just bomb
flourish
out completely,
or
she could
deteriorate.
bomb out.
Yeah. So look, if she came to you for advice, you'd give us the options of what her rights are.
I'd like her to get on with her life. I'd like her to make a recovery.
Yeah.
Personally, because I'm a parent myself.
But
if she doesn't,
you'd explain what her rights are.
That's exactly right.
And her options.
I'd probably explain it to the parents, Harry, who are the guardians.
Yeah.
And in her case, I wouldn't tell her too much, because you'd like her to make a recovery.
Now, Tony,
it's a very sad case.
In the schools environment, there are often accidents and issues, I think, partly with equipment and partly with controlling other kids. So there's two sort of things.
Well, the equipment one, if you can prove that the equipment was faulty, you generally win.
Yep.
With the other one, it's a lot more contentious.
Well, you know, an unruly child does something on the spur of the moment. How can a teacher control an unruly child who does a spontaneous act?
If the child is that
and dare I say, does Modbury Triangle come into it?
I'm not sure about that in this instance, but
a criminal activity by a child.
I think if the particular child has got a proven history of problems, something more drastic has to occur.
Yeah.
Look, Harry, we've got to go to a sponsors break, and after the break, what have we got? We got
Kathy's mailbag. So look forward to
just keep watching. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you.